Wow, way to finish the regular season on a high note, am I right? We got a lot of time before the playoffs start, though. Maybe I'll see what else is on TV.
Devils
lose.
Bees win 4-0 at home against the New Jersey Devils, with goals scored in order by Morgan Geekie, Mark Kostelic, and Victor Arvidsson. The win goes to Jeremy Swayman, who makes 21 saves on 21 shots, a shutout. And the loss to Nico Dawes, who makes 22 saves on 26 shots for an .846 save percentage. God, my hair looks terrible. Cassie had just potted another one, I could wear a hat. We got top line scoring. The geeky goal came from Pastrnak, who got his 100th point of the season. Unfortunately couldn't hit 30 goals, so we'll have to wait another year to become the first Bruin in history with 9 30-goal seasons. We got our scoring depth going with Kostelic, who's been on fire. You know, at this rate, he'll score 4 goals in his next game. And we had the middle six contributing, with Arvidsson standing on the doorstep at the end of the first period. It was beautiful. The first period is the best 20 minutes of Bruins hockey I've watched in a while. Maybe since the Dallas game, actually, where we played pretty well, but I don't know. That was dominant. Now, I do have to acknowledge the caveat that the roster iced by New Jersey today wasn't necessarily their best by virtue of already being eliminated, but there was still talent on there. Hughes was out there. Dawes, although it was only his 3rd or 4th start of the season, has several seasons of NHL experience. And we looked good. And if that's what it takes to get our confidence up heading into the postseason, I'll take it. Whatever, really. Defense and goaltending obviously held their own, didn't give up any goals. Admittedly, there were probably 1 or 2 chances New Jersey should have had, but sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you're good, and sometimes it's a mixture of both, and that's really what you need to win. The first period, the Bruins controlled possession, controlled the puck, and essentially had their way with New Jersey. We were in the O-zone for much of the period. We outshot them for the period and for the game. Thank goodness. I think that is the first time since I've started making these videos that the Bruins have outshot their opponent. Again, outshooting someone isn't everything, but always getting outshot is something. Second and third period were a little less exciting. We did have a goal called back in the third. I don't see how it was offside, but in fairness, the NESN broadcast only gave us a slightly behind angle that might have made the puck look further forward than it was, and then an angle from about... So there's a non-zero chance that I didn't quite get the same perspective the refs did. Every other element of the game went about as well as we could want. We got a penalty kill in there that looked pretty good. There were times where we were hampered in our own end a little bit, but we were still able to get the puck out without icing it, which we had done repeatedly in previous games and our losses. We looked confident, we looked poised and composed. We handled the ebb and flow of the game with playoff intensity and focus. It was nice, it was good. We looked good and confident, and I think this must be a boost for the locker room heading into the postseason. With this win, we both reach 100 points. As a wild card, it's tough out there, and confirmed our opponent for the first round. We will be going on the road for games 1 and 2 to Buffalo to play the Sabres in their long-awaited return to the postseason. Now I'm not going to talk about them. I mean, I will at some point, but not today. I'll probably release a playoff preview video, especially if you're not too familiar with the Sabres roster and what exactly the strengths and weaknesses of their game are and their journey this season, kind of coming out of nowhere. The train that no one saw coming, not Montreal, the train that really everyone did. But this video is for talking about the Bruins. and asking questions is a type of talking. For that, let's check out the Michael DiPietro Lover question of the day. Michael DiPietro Lover on Instagram asks, how should we use Higgins to start the playoffs? I have my answer. Do you have yours? Pause if you don't, because I'm about to give mine, and I don't want to taint your opinion. I'm going to answer a bonus question first from Michael DiPietro Lover on Instagram. Should we keep the lines from our game against New Jersey? The reason I'm answering this one is because it answers both questions. Yes, we should. We should keep the lines against New Jersey, and we should keep Higgins exactly where he is. Hear me out. I was not high on Higgins. I wasn't low on Higgins. I don't know what to expect when a teenager joins the roster very late in the season, a roster that made kind of an unexpected playoff push with a little rattling at the end. But we rattled at the end. And it seems like with this roster, at least today, at least against this opponent, we had it put together. There are a lot of interchangeable parts on this team. Not entirely interchangeable, but we have defensive depth where the 6, 7, 8 defenders can all kind of be swapped around. We have forward depth with several young or more veteran options that bring different X factors to the table. Lucas Reichel's very fast. Esamont and Alex Steves play for the Bruins. James Higgins is young and presumably has other talents. Anyway, we have a lot of different options for the team we can put on the ice. What I think right now, and what I think should be the guiding principle for this team through this playoff run, ride the hot hand. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it is broke, don't be afraid to fix it. There's really no one outside of the obvious players who are completely unexchangeable, who you would never take off McAvoy no matter how poor his form was in a game. But for the players that don't have that sort of sacrosanct, untouchable position on the team, we need to be willing to move them around. And we need to be willing to stick with what works. I love Reichel. I would want him to be on the roster. But damn it, if this combination didn't work. And Esamont, although his goal was called back, looked good. The whole team looked good. I would leave it as is for at least the first game against Buffalo, maybe the first two, kind of regardless of the performance in the first. But I would certainly give this exact roster a try. They looked good today. And you can say what you want about, the Devils didn't really field their best team, whatever. It was an NHL or NHL adjacent team. And for once and for the first time in a while, we looked much, much better than them. So let's take it and let's see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? You lose both in Buffalo? What's the worst that can happen? You get swept? But what do you think? Tell me in the comments, tell Michael DiPietro Lover on Instagram, and give us a subscription, follow, whatever, wherever you are. I should also acknowledge for our Fraser Minton enthusiast out there, not to be conflated with Fraser Minton enthusiast, the name, that Fraser Minton won the NESN 7th Player Award this season. That has been won by several pretty productive Bruins in the past. Geeky, Zaka, I think McAvoy might have won it one year, which is rather impressive seeing how good he is. But congrats, Fraser. Absolutely deserved. What a bonus. What a breakout. What everything. Nothing but the most positive things to say about that kid. I'm so confident in him moving forward. I'm so glad that he's going to be on this roster. I feel about him the way I feel about Kuznutinov and Espejol. Guys that really at the start of the season you wouldn't have expected to be maybe even on the roster. Maybe a scratch. Maybe in the AHL depending on their eligibility. And they've just turned into NHL regulars and people I have more confidence in than some of the vets. So congrats to him. Congrats to all the guys this year who really stepped up and found their place on the team. I really think and hope that that's going to be a home for them long term because we need that. We need our depth and it's going to be big for us come the postseason. BS with SB. Time for me to answer your questions that were really overwhelmingly comments today, but time for me to address your comments. First, from Spencer Hates Hockey, quote, "That was tough." Indeed it was. In all seriousness, doesn't that feel good to sit down and watch a win where, first of all, you get out to the lead really early so you're comfortable the whole game. And it feels like, yes, that team deserves to be in the playoff. That team's playing hard. They're playing fast. They're playing technical. They're playing solid. They're doing everything you would want them to do. They look good in all areas of the ice. That's a team that's a nightmare to play against. Not only do I hope that it instills confidence in us because we deserve it and we need it after our form before it, I hope it instills fear in the other teams, not just Buffalo. Honestly, nothing against Buffalo. I kind of like them. But just, I want everyone to be on notice. I know the Bruins are a dark horse, one of the biggest dogs probably in the playoffs, other than the entire Pacific. But we could do something. From McAvoy and Cheese, Mark Kostelik. Indeed. Actually, let me do you one better. Tanner Jeannot. I'm being informed that that is in fact not one better. But still, on the broadcast today, they talked about Jeannot, and they talked about how he was scratched last game when we were kind of running a wonky roster and giving some guys some rest heading into the postseason, and how Jeannot had to watch Corrali and Kostelik go light it up and didn't get to be involved in that. And I, in the last video, kind of expressed regret because he's been playing well and putting himself in good positions. And he got an assist today, and he was still playing well and still putting himself in good positions. I know people don't necessarily like the term we gave him and maybe the AAV, and yeah, it's probably an overpay. And I don't anticipate that he will return to the form that he once had, that like one season where he scored 20 goals. Whatever. I've come to terms with that. I can even come to terms that that might not have been the best guy to pick up. But he plays Bruins hockey, and he contributes. He is a positive impact on the ice, whether it's fighting, whether it's just laying the body, finishing hits, playing tough, hard-nosed, or dishing the puck in good areas. He has decent vision and good positioning on the ice. I think we could see not sustained offensive production, but intermittent offensive production from him. This was not your point. You were talking about Mark Kostelik, who, yeah, in one game is going to score 4 goals, and then 8, and then 16. I can do these a lot. I played Minecraft. From Marat Kuznutinov Enthusiast, oh no, he said not to put this in the episode. From Marat Kuznutinov Enthusiast, everyone's starting to show up last few games. Eyes emoji. Not the eyes that like observe you, but the side eyes emoji. Duh. Good sign for playoffs. Yes, it is. I feel so much, maybe I'm naive. Maybe I have like the worst case of recency bias or like middle term amnesia where just all the sins are forgiven. But man, did that look like a different team or what? And coming off the back of a different style of win. The win against Columbus, we weren't necessarily the better team. We didn't necessarily fix stuff, but we found a way to win, and that was heartening. This win, we found a way to put BTA, and it's working at every level. I know I've said that a couple times, but I'm really so happy that we were able to get a goal from the top 6, the bottom 6, and the middle 6, because we are going to need that. Our top-end talent will not generate enough offense on their own. They need to be generating. If they're not shooting, I don't think it's going to work. They need to be generating. But the middle 6 and the bottom 6 and the bottom 3, we're going to need them to put on a show for us. They don't have to take over the game, but if they're not showing up consistently every night, and if they're not finishing checks and getting to the corner and playing kind of dirty, grimy hockey, I don't see our route forward. Defensively, I would have kept Yoki Haru in over Peak, but like I said, let's keep this lineup. It worked. And if it doesn't work, then we can change it. But defense showed up well. There are question marks. There are question marks pretty much on everyone not named Charlie McAvoy and Nikita Zadorov. Maybe Jonathan Espejol. I mean, he's played well, but I still don't think he's necessarily a top 2 pair guy. He plays. That's where we put him. That's what he has to do. I'm not sure if the matchups are always going to be favorable playing him there, especially in the postseason when you're up against better teams. But there are question marks on defense, but they played well today. And one of the advantages of that depth, like I've said, is if one guy doesn't have it, if a question mark becomes an exclamation point, you have another guy that you can try. We have always something we can do. We are never down and out unless Swayman. Swayman played well today. Love to see it. Shutout, only a second of the season. Can you believe that? If Swayman's not firing, if Swayman's not hot, if Swayman's not on, we might be screwed. Nothing against Korpisalo, who's performed well for us and gotten us wins kind of down the stretch. I just don't see the reality where if Swayman is, for whatever reason, I'm not even anticipating that he will be. He's been pretty consistent and pretty good in big situations. Ignore that one game in the Olympics. The boards were a dark color. That means something. He's been pretty good in big situations. I anticipate that he will continue to be, and that he will continue to put this team on his back. If he doesn't, well, it's been a good run. And finally, circling back to Spencer Hates Hockey, I never know what to say when we win, but I'm so hyped for round 1 versus Buffalo. You think you don't know what to say while we win. I haven't gotten 50 views in the last week. I'm hyped too. We all should be. This is going to be fun. It's exciting for Buffalo being back in it. It's exciting for us being here when I don't think many people gave us a chance this season. I probably didn't either. So for the rest of the week, I'll probably take it a little easy, but I want to put out at least one, maybe two videos. First video, I'm going to definitely do a playoff series preview. We'll talk about Buffalo. We'll talk about how we match up, their top players, their goaltending, where we have the advantage, where they have the advantage. And another video I'm thinking about, and let me know in the comments or on my Instagram, wherever if this might interest you, is kind of an intro to playoff hockey. I said it in one of my earlier videos, but playoff hockey on the ice can honestly play kind of different than non-playoff hockey. And if it's your first season watching, or just, if you're kind of curious about what exactly makes it different, I might be able to walk you through a couple of those things. It's more of a you know it when you see it kind of thing. I'm not necessarily convinced that I have all of the technical tricks and secrets, but could be helpful to know going in. Let me know if that's something that interests you, and let me know if there's anything else you want to see before we get going with the postseason content. Because once that ball gets rolling, it's hard to stop. 100 points, a first-round matchup against a team that hasn't been here in 14 years. It's never good being the wild card. It's never good being the road team in a series, but you never know. Go Bees.